everyone, welcome back to the Toal Tribe channel. Thanks for stopping by. A few weeks ago over on Instagram, I asked what kind of videos you wanted to see up on the channel, and a couple of you had said you wanted to see some recipes, some meal ideas, and I figured, why not? I make dinner just about every night here. I might as well film our dinners for a week and then share them with you guys. So that's what I'm doing in this video. These are recipes that we enjoy when we're trying to be a little bit more health conscious, when we're trying to like eat less carbs or trying to cut down on gluten, sugars, dairy, things like that. A few of these recipes I learned back when we were doing Whole30, and I've just kind of like adapted them to be a little bit more manageable for everyday life, because it can be kind of hard to be like totally, you know, carb free, totally gluten free, totally sugar free. Those can be a little bit hard to maintain just in everyday life. So these recipes are a little bit more health conscious, but still just so good. And they make you feel like you're eating like kind of decadent things for dinner. There's definitely like go-to recipes that I make just because they're quick and they're easy. These might take a little bit longer, but honestly, they're not painfully long to cook. It doesn't feel like, you know, that Saturday night cooking when you can really like just kind of get creative, but it still feels like you're getting something really good. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I hope that you feel really inspired and get in the kitchen and try to make some of these meals yourself. If you do, please leave me a comment down below letting me know how it turned out. I would love to hear from you. If you made any changes that made it, you know, better or more workable for your family, again, leave them down below. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe for more content from us in the future. But we have a lot of cooking to do, so we should probably just get into it. I have recently gotten really into making salmon at home. This week it was on sale at the grocery store, so I picked up 2 pounds of it, and I'm just going to start by seasoning with sea salt and some fresh cracked pepper. Then I'm going to do some onion powder, some garlic salt, and lastly I'm going to do some ginger, since this is an Asian themed salmon recipe. Once it's all seasoned, we're just going to add it to this grilling sheet. This helps Mike grill it without the salmon getting flaky and falling through the grill grates. Now for the sauce, we're going to do a tablespoon of garlic, half a tablespoon of sriracha, 4 tablespoons of liquid aminos or soy sauce, and then 3 rough tablespoons of hoisin sauce. Mix it all together. I'm going to do a little taste test to see if it is spicy enough, and it was not, so I added more sriracha. This will depend on your taste buds if you want to add more or less. I added more, and even then it still wasn't as spicy as we like it, but it was still good. For the fried cauliflower rice, you're gonna wanna cut up some red pepper, some green pepper, some onion. Off camera, I realized that I had some carrots that I wanted to use up, so I chopped those up really small and added them in too. They were a great addition, so if you have carrots you need to get rid of, by all means, add them in. But also peas would be really good. There's a lot of different veggies that you could add to this that would make it just really delicious. So anything you got that you need to get rid of, just throw it on in this fried rice. It's going to be good either way. Now it's time to saute all of our veggies. I just used a little extra virgin olive oil, heated it up. This is probably about a tablespoon of garlic, maybe more just because I really like garlic. Gonna add in all of my veggies, and I'm just gonna get them sauteed until the onions are like kind of translucent, until everything is a little bit more tender. This step probably takes like 5 minutes. If you're looking for like exact measurements and exact time frames, I'm not the chef for you. I just kind of wing it, guys. This is a carrot that I decided to add in kind of last minute. Again, really good addition. Highly recommend, 5 stars. Once all of that's done, you're gonna add in some egg. Now, I would recommend 2 to 3. I actually did 3 because I'm doing 2 bags of cauliflower rice. If you're only doing 1, I would probably just stick to 2 eggs. But the 3 was nice with the extra cauliflower. Now I use steam in a bag cauliflower rice just because I like to make things easy for myself. I buy this at the grocery store frozen, microwave it for like 3.5 minutes, and then add it in, mix it all together. Once everything is thoroughly mixed, you're gonna add in the flavoring. That was a little bit of fish sauce I used first, and then I used some liquid aminos. Again, you can use soy sauce if that's what you have. I kind of just eyeball how much I use based on the coloring of the cauliflower rice. I think about what like regular fried rice looks like, and then I kind of just keep adding a little bit until I get the color that I want and the taste that I want. Just gonna season with some salt and pepper. I forgot to get outside and get some footage of Mike grilling the salmon, but this was the finished result, and it was so good, guys. I kid you not. This is such a good and easy meal, and it's healthy. What could be better? All right, it's time to make some chili. You're gonna put a pot on the stove and put it on a medium flame or heat setting. And then it's time to chop up all of your veggies. This recipe requires you to cut up an onion. This is probably about half an onion. Again, I'm never exact with any of my measurements really. And I'm just gonna dice it up into kind of smaller pieces. Then I'm gonna cut up some red pepper that I had left over from a different recipe, and also some green pepper. Now normally when I make this recipe, I use about 20 ounces of like canned Rotel tomatoes, but I didn't have it. I only had one small can. So I ended up cutting up a pint of these grape tomatoes. I cut them in quarters, and I was surprised at how good this was, guys. It came out so good. I think I like this way even better. Now in the pot we heated up, I'm going to add some olive oil, my onions, and about a tablespoon of chopped garlic. And I'm just going to saute it until the onions are a little bit browned and translucent. Then you're gonna add in about a pound of ground beef. This was a little less than a pound, I think, but it was more than enough for the two of us. We had plenty for leftovers and lunches. You're just gonna cook it up until it's nice and browned. Then you're gonna add in your peppers. I had about a 10-ounce can of Rotel, so I added that in with the juices, and then I added my tomatoes. Just kind of mixed everything up so it was nice and kind of blended together. And then I seasoned with some sea salt, some black pepper, some onion powder, a little bit of cumin, and then paprika. Again, I don't have exact measurements. I just kind of like season and go. If you don't like paprika, I'd use a little bit less, and more of the others. Just kind of use your discretion. This would also probably be good with some chipotle. And then I added my sweet potatoes. I did this off camera, but I peeled them and kind of cut them up into bite-sized pieces. I had one really large one and a smaller one. If you have small ones, I would do 3. I'm going to add in 2 cups of beef bone broth. This is more than enough, but you need it to help cook down the potatoes. And then I'm going to add in some jalapenos. This is just our preference. We like things a little bit spicier. We love jalapenos. So I just added these in. These are totally optional. You're going to cover and cook for 30 minutes. You're going to drain about 1 cup of that liquid out and stir it until it thickens. And then you have this beautiful, delicious chili. Now, spaghetti and meatballs or spaghetti and meat sauce is a favorite around here just because it's so quick and easy to make, but sometimes it's just carb overload. So when that happens, we switch to spaghetti squash, and I just like to sprinkle mine with some olive oil, some salt and pepper before I put it in a pan to roast it in the oven. I bake mine at 400 degrees for 30 minutes. When I'm being health conscious, I always make my meatballs out of ground turkey. So this is ground turkey, 1 egg, some almond flour, about 1/3 cup really. And this makes it gluten-free because I'm not using breadcrumbs. I go in with my seasonings. I did salt, pepper, Italian seasoning, onion powder, and then garlic powder. Again, no exact measurements. Once everything is seasoned to my liking, I just go in with my hands and mix it all together. Get everything thoroughly blended before I start rolling them into my meatballs and setting them aside to cook. You're going to want to coat your heated pan with some nonstick spray or some oil. Turkey meatballs don't create as much oil as like beef ones do, so they tend to get dry and stick to things, so you have to really lubricate your pan. And then once they're down there, you're going to want to move them around a little bit with a spatula just so that they don't get stuck and break apart. Let them cook for a little while, and then you're just going to keep flipping them over so that they're fully cooked through on all of the sides. They're a little bit tricky to flip, but you kind of get the hang of it after a while. Raise your hand if you like to make as little dishes as possible when you're cooking, because I know I sure do. So I'm going to make my sauce right here with the meatballs. I just move them to the side, saute some garlic, and then throw in my jarred sauce. Like, this is the middle of the week. I can't be bothered with like making fancy homemade sauces. This is the Ragu Simply traditional sauce. It's actually really good. It's supposed to have less additives in it, and I enjoyed it. I always use jarred sauce, and then I just doctor it up with a bunch of seasonings. My go-tos are like onion powder, you know, sea salt, black pepper, garlic salt, you know, Italian seasoning, like all of the things, anything that you like to add to your pasta sauce. Just when your spaghetti squash is done, you're just going to use 2 forks to shred it up and get that spaghetti-like consistency. When I plate it, I like to just go back in and add just a tiny bit more salt and pepper just to give it a little bit more flavor. And then you just go in and you add your meatballs and sauce on top. I add a little bit of grated Parmesan, and it was such a good, delicious, low-carb meal. For this recipe, you're going to want to start a couple hours ahead of dinner time because you're going to want to give these chicken thighs some time to marinate in the sauce that you're going to make. So we're going to start off by cutting up 2 shallots into very small pieces, and then you're going to set them to the side. In the background, you want to be heating up a pot because we're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter and 4 cups of thawed frozen cherries, and we're going to mix those up so that the cherries get warm, the butter melts. In a separate pan, we're going to heat up some olive oil, and then we're going to add our cut up shallots and cook those until they're nice and brown and a little translucent. And once that happens, we are going to add them into our cherry mixture. Now we add in 1/2 cup of liquid aminos, 2 teaspoons of white wine vinegar, some chipotle seasoning, and some paprika seasoning. Now you can leave out the chipotle if you don't like spicy. I think it adds like a nice little kick, but honestly it's not too overwhelming if you're not into spicy. You're going to take a cup of this, and then you're going to add it to your raw chicken. I've only seasoned with salt and pepper. You're going to let that marinate for an hour, and the rest of the mixture you're going to let simmer for 10 more minutes. Then you're going to grill your chicken once it's done marinating. And once that's all finished, you're going to add the rest of that cherry chipotle mixture over the top of the chicken as like a nice little sauce. Guys, seriously, so good. What's more convenient than a salad kit? Nothing is. This is the Fresh Express Sweet Kale one. So good, guys. Comes with dried cranberries, sunflower seeds, and then a delicious poppy seed dressing for over top. And it especially goes really well with this cherry chicken dish. It was like the perfect and most refreshing summer side. Fun fact, guys, most people don't know this about me, but I am actually half Jamaican, and I love jerk chicken. Although to me, this is kind of like imposter jerk chicken because I just forever compare every jerk chicken to the best one I ever had, which was when I was in Jamaica, and this was literally a stand, like some hut on the beach that was just so good. But I picked up this jerk chicken seasoning a little while ago from the grocery store, and I just, take my chicken breasts that I've kind of pounded out and cut up, and I just season it with that. I add a little bit of chipotle just to give it a little bit more heat. I flip and I coat both sides like pretty heavily because I really want to get that flavor in there. And then I just add it to a grill pan that I've sprayed with a nonstick spray, and just, keep flipping that until it's nice and cooked all the way through. In a separate pan, I'm going to heat up and melt some coconut oil. I started with about 3 tablespoons, and then I think I added 2 more. I forgot to get footage of me, but I cut up some plantains, and they are what I'm going to cook in this oil. I cook them for about 3 minutes on each side, and then when I take them out, I just put them on a paper towel, and I sprinkle them with some sea salt, and they are good to go. Such a great side, nice alternative to potatoes and rice and stuff. Now for this pineapple salsa, I made things easy, and I just used canned pineapple that I had chilled, cut up some red onion, add that in, and then I'm going to cut up some cilantro. Again, I don't have exact measurements. I like onion, so I added extra onion. I really like cilantro, so I probably added maybe a little bit more cilantro than other people would. And then I also cut up a lime, and I used half of the lime to add some juices and some flavoring to my pineapple salsa. I eat this dish all year round, but it really is such a great summertime staple. Between the Caribbean flavors and the sweet pineapple salsa, you just have to try it. Dumpster pasta. Not the most appealing name, but it really is delicious, and I do enjoy it because it's easy to make and it also helps me clean out my refrigerator. So I make dumpster pastas on Friday nights because I go grocery shopping on Saturday, so this helps me clean out all of the produce that was about to go bad and like use it all up so that I don't have to throw anything out. So dumpster pasta changes from week to week. I usually always have grape tomatoes, which I'm cutting up now. I also had red peppers this time, and I had a red onion, which I love because it adds nice color. And then I always pick shrimp as my protein because I just keep frozen shrimp on hand all the time. But you could always use chicken if that's what you're into. I'm going to heat up some extra virgin olive oil, and I'm going to add my shrimp. This is like peeled, deveined. I took the tails off. I season it with some salt and some pepper. And then once that's cooked, I remove it from the heat and set it aside. I add more oil, some garlic. Then I add my red onion and I cook that till it's nice and tender. And I add more olive oil. You're going to see me do that as I go just because this pasta has no sauce to it. I kind of use the olive oil as like the sauce. Going to add in my tomatoes and my pepper, cook those. I forgot to mention that in the background I also have a pot of water going so that I can boil water for pasta. I'm going to use the Ronzoni gluten-free pasta because we're trying to eat less gluten. And then once my tomatoes and everything are cooked, I'm going to add some spinach, a little more olive oil. And then I'm going to cover it and let it cook so that that spinach can kind of wilt and cook down. Once the spinach is cooked down, you're going to add in your seasonings. I use sea salt, black pepper, red pepper flakes for a nice little kick, and some garlic salt. You're going to mix all of that together, and then you're going to add your protein back in. In my case, that's the shrimp. For you, that could be chicken or something else. I like to just go back in one more time and add a little bit more of my extra virgin olive oil. Again, this has no sauce, so that kind of acts as like the sauce. I like to add a little bit of cheese as a topper. You could use Parmesan. I usually use feta. This time I use goat cheese because it's what I had. And guys, this was so good. Like, I'm getting hungry. I want some dumpster pasta right now. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up. It really helps out our channel. You can leave any questions or comments you have for me down below. I would love to hear from you, especially if you tried out one of these recipes. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content in the future. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.